What is the Atlanta Beltline? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down what exactly the Beltline is, what it looks like today, and what the plans are for the future. All that and more coming up right now. Hey everyone, welcome back to Living in Atlanta. This YouTube channel is all about what it's like to live in the Atlanta, Georgia area. I designed this channel specifically for people who are out of state and looking to relocate to the Atlanta area to help you understand what it's like to live here and what area you want to look into moving to. My name is Marc Brenner. I'm a licensed realtor here in Atlanta, and I would love to connect with you. If you're a person who's looking to move your primary residence to the Atlanta area, or if you're an investor looking to buy a piece of real estate in the Atlanta area, give me a call, shoot me an email, or check out my website. All of my contact information is below. Also, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel so you can be notified every time I put out new content specifically related to living and investing in the Atlanta area. Okay, so what in the world is the Atlanta Beltline? I get this question all the time, especially from out-of-town folks, but even from people who live in Georgia or Atlanta who haven't been able to go over and check it out. Well, today I'm going to break down what the Atlanta Beltline is, what it looks like today, and what it's planned to look like in the future. But just to break this down in very simple terms for you, the Beltline is essentially an old railroad track that's been removed and paved over, and it's essentially created a system of walkable, bikeable, scooterable walkways that connect different neighborhoods around Atlanta in a way that it's never been connected before. Now, I know that doesn't sound like much, but I'm going to explain to you why it's literally one of the best things to ever happen to Atlanta, and I'm also going to explain how it's drastically impacting the housing markets in the different neighborhoods that it runs through. So why is the Beltline such a big deal? Number one, Atlanta is known for its sprawl, meaning we're not a very dense, highly walkable city. And the other problem is our public transportation is pretty lacking. You're very limited as to where you can go easily with Marta. And so the reality is for most Atlantans, you need to own a car to easily get around here. And so the reason why the Beltline is so amazing is that it addresses both of these issues in part by connecting many different neighborhoods that previously had no other connection other than just driving from one another. Now, I'm going to show you a lot of footage on the Beltline today, so if you're anxious just to see video footage of what the Beltline is like in person, feel free to skip ahead in this video. So let's pull up a map of the Beltline and start looking at it in detail. Okay, so we have the Beltline pulled up here. We're on the official Beltline website, which is beltline.org. So here you have Metro Atlanta, and I talk in a lot of my videos about either being inside the perimeter or outside the perimeter. And just for your reference, the perimeter is essentially Interstate 285, which creates a loop around the main portion of the city. And people who live here often refer to ourselves as either living ITP inside the perimeter or OTP outside the perimeter. So you can see inside the perimeter we have this loop, this circle that forms around downtown Atlanta, and this is the Beltline. So we'll zoom in here, and this is the railway corridor that I was referring to earlier. Okay, so let's click on Open Paved Trails. So these are all the portions where the Beltline has been complete. So you see there's three main sections where the Beltline is paved essentially, so you can enjoy it. Then we have Interim Trails. So these are the portion that are underway but have not been finished. These are spur trails, so these are just one-off trails that shoot off of the Beltline that you can enjoy. We'll keep all these highlighted. These are access points where you can hop on the Beltline so you can see where it's finished. There's tons of different places where you can hop on and off the Beltline, all of these access points. I skipped parks, so you can see these are all the parks that have been built up with the Beltline. Art collection, it shows you all the different areas along the Beltline where a piece of art has been installed. So you're going to see in the footage of the Beltline, not only is this a usable walkway, but it's great sightseeing for beautiful art, beautiful graffiti. It's just a great atmosphere. We'll go down here. You can see the Marta Connections, and this is good reference for any of you thinking of moving to Atlanta anyway. So this is basically all of the Marta heavy rail. So Marta does have you know, a robust system of buses where you can get around. But if you're thinking like New York City style transit, DC style transit, this is pretty much it. You can see it almost forms a T along 85 and then 20. And so if your commute is along one of these areas, you can get along great. But obviously, this services a very small portion of the city comparably. So that's why I said before, our public transportation, it's okay, but it's pretty much lacking. So it'll show you also the downtown streetcar, which is in the Edgewood area that some people use. But obviously, you can see it's very limited where it goes. Path foundation trails. So these are other nature trails that some are offshoot the Beltline, some are not really connected at all, but they're great trails throughout the city. Okay, now let's move my face over here so we can look at, you have sub areas and master plans, neighborhoods. So these are all the Beltline neighborhoods, and I'm going to talk later in the video about how the Beltline has drastically impacted the real estate value in these neighborhoods. They have the planned streetcar system, so there are plans in the works to expand the current streetcar system, and you can see that it will offshoot in many different areas of the Beltline. I don't totally understand how this is going to look when it's finished. It's still a long way out, but you can see they have pretty significant plans to expand the streetcar. So hopefully that'll help with transportation as well. Okay, so the first section that I'm going to show you in person is the Northside Trail. So this is this finished portion up here, and we'll just zoom in a little bit to take a closer look. So you can see we're in Colonial Homes near Peachtree Battle. This is a very nice area. And this goes south towards Ardmore. And if we click on this, it explains the trail's about a mile long. And it goes through a beautiful park called Tanyard Creek Park, which I'm going to show you in the video. And it's really just a beautiful section of the Beltline. Very scenic, beautiful homes in this area. It's a great walk. And you can see you can walk along this path going south, and eventually you will cross over the Beltline. And this is an unfinished section, but when it is finished, you'll be able to hop on heading either east or west, whichever way you want to go. So this is one of the few finished sections. And now I'm basically going to walk along this section so you can see what it's like in person. Check it out. All right, so now we're here on the Northside Trail that I spoke about earlier in the video. So this is one of the lesser known finished spots of the Atlanta Beltline, probably the least used. It's the smallest section. You can see in the background's a beautiful golf course, the Bobby Jones golf course. I actually recently just discovered this section of the Beltline, and I actually really love it. It's one of the most scenic sections. The parks here are beautiful, and it's just a beautiful, very quiet place to come hang out. So let's go check out what it looks like in person. All right, so that's the Northside Trail of the Beltline. I'm having a beautiful walk right now. You can see it's extremely scenic. There's tons of places to obviously walk and run. You can hop off at any point and just hang out and read. It's a very quiet place to enjoy any part of your day. And you saw there's a bunch of spots where you can actually get down near the creek on some flat rocks and spend some time as well. So it's a really great vibe out here. And it's less well known. You don't see as many people out in this trail yet, but it's a great little stretch of the Beltline. I really enjoy it. So hope you enjoy that little tour. Okay, so that's an absolutely beautiful portion of the Beltline. Now, if we scroll back out here, I am going to show you the Westside Trail. Let's zoom in a little bit. And this is the most recently completed portion of the Beltline and one of the most exciting to me. It stretches about 2.4 miles from White Street to Westview Cemetery. So the section that I'm going to show you mainly is going to be around the Lee and White development, which is right around here. And this is a really exciting development and a perfect example of how the Beltline is changing these neighborhoods. So this is a bunch of old industrial warehouse space that is now a series of 3 breweries, a distillery, a kombucha shop, a restaurant, a bottle shop. It's absolutely booming with things to do. It's a ton of fun. And I think it's going to totally transform the neighborhoods that surround this section of the Beltline. So we're going to get on about here and just walk north. We'll hop off so you can actually see what some of those retail places look like. All of these areas that the Beltline is currently running through are in the process of totally transforming because there's a younger crowd. There's a lot of amenities here now. People are way more comfortable living in these areas, especially millennials are buying up tons of homes in areas like West End and Westview. Adair Park's already been established, but now it's even creeping in south to where traditionally it wasn't as good neighborhoods like Oakland City, Venetian Hills. Even these areas are changing a ton. So let's go check out what it looks like in person. All right, so here we are on the Beltline. We're on the Westside Trail right now. So I just wanted to take you down. This is one of my favorite sections of the Beltline. My wife and I really enjoy coming down here. It's one of the more recently completed sections, so it's not going to be as crowded as it normally would in other parts of the Beltline. It's Thursday morning here, and it's a little rainy out, so there's not nearly as many people as there would be, but this is a great section. We're heading north right now, so if you look behind me, that would be headed south towards Pittsburgh and Capitol View and Peoplestown. So if you headed that way, if you headed behind me, you'd end up in another section that I'm going to show you in this video today, the unfinished portion of the Southside Trail. We're headed north right now, so we're going to pass the Lee and White development, and I'm going to show you all the amazing restaurants and breweries that have popped up over there. And if you were to continue taking this up north, you would be heading up towards the west side through Bankhead, and you'd eventually hit that west side reservoir at Bellwood Quarry that I was talking about earlier in the video. So this is a great little section. So I'm going to turn the camera around and show you a bit of the walk, and then I'll recap with you in a little bit. right, so that was just a little sample of the Beltline and the Westside Trail. It's really awesome. As you can see, we run through a great tunnel. There's awesome graffiti and all kinds of street art all up and down the Beltline, and you can see, you walk off and you have an amazing spot full of restaurants and bars. And if you look behind me, this is just a huge parking lot. This is all industrial warehouse space that previously wasn't being used. And now, because the Beltline is running adjacent to it, this space has been used for all the breweries and restaurants you see, and it keeps on going. If I had continued to walk north down the Beltline, you can see behind me, West End Brewery is down there. There's a kombucha shop if you keep going. So there are more places off that stretch of the Beltline to hop off. It's changing this area tremendously. That's a pro tip for you. Maybe if you don't have the budget to look in Inman Park, or the Midtown area, which a lot of people don't. This is a great area to look. It's a young crowd. The housing is still affordable, and the Beltline is here, and all these amenities are popping up around it. So it's an in-town location. So places like Westview, West End, Ashview Heights, Capitol View, all these areas I think are great places for a person who's buying a home but doesn't have a really high budget to look. So I hope you enjoyed that stretch of the Beltline. It's one of my favorites. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that little tour of the Westside Trail. I'm really excited about this section. My wife and I enjoy it all the time now on the weekends. All right, so now let's look at the Eastside Trail. So you can see the Eastside Trail here. It's about 1.9 miles that's been completed, and this is the most exciting part of the Beltline to date. This is really where you see the full potential of the Beltline being played out. And this is where, if you go on the weekends, or really any day these days, it's going to be absolutely loaded with people enjoying it. This trail runs from Midtown Atlanta. You see Piedmont Park here. In the video I'm about to show you, we're going to probably start off in the Piedmont Park area. And if you don't know already, Piedmont Park is the nicest, most popular park in the city currently. It's absolutely gorgeous. Tons of people there all the time hanging out. And what you can do now is, you can see we're in Midtown, Virginia Highlands area. You can hop on the Beltline here and walk your way all the way down south. We're going to pass Ponce City Market, which is an awesome mixed-use development. We're going to go through Old Fourth Ward. You'll see historic Fourth Ward Park here. It's a really cool skate park. Great place for kids to hang out. But you'll see what the Beltline has done in this area is, these are all the hottest neighborhoods in town in Atlanta. So Midtown, Virginia Highlands, Old Fourth Ward, Little Five Points, Cabbagetown, Edgewood, Kirkwood, down into East Atlanta and Grant Park. So now you have this amazing amenity in the Beltline for people to enjoy. It's made high home values skyrocket even higher. Everyone wants to be by the Beltline, and they want to be in this section because this is where you're going to see the greatest concentration of these beautiful restaurants and bars that are situated on the Beltline. So let's go check out this section of the Beltline in person, and you can let me know what you think. All right, so now we're here in Piedmont Park. I'm going to show you the Eastside Trail. You can see Piedmont Park behind me. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's a beautiful day out here today. So I just wanted to start here to give you context of what a typical day could be like enjoying the Beltline. So say you come over and spend some time in Piedmont Park, you have a picnic, but you want to go do some shopping, you want to go try a restaurant or a bar, and you want to get some exercise. So like I said, we're starting here in Piedmont Park, and I'm going to hop on the Beltline, and we're going to head south towards Inman Park, and you're going to see the finished section of the East Side Trail. But this is just an incredibly popular thing for Atlantans to do these days, is hang out at Piedmont Park and then go enjoy the Beltline at some capacity. So I'm going to turn the camera around here so you can see the park. I'll slow down the video for some of the highlights of the trip as well. So this is the East Side Trail. All right, so that was a great walk down the East Side Trail, the Beltline. You saw we started off in Piedmont Park, crossed over Monroe. We walked all the way down until Ponce City Market was on our right. Kept walking down. We crossed over Ponce, which is a major artery in the city. You saw there was a Kroger on our left side. We kept walking down past the old Fourth Ward Skate Park, which is beautiful. And we've also passed Krog Street Market. And now we're in one of the most popular spots on the Beltline. You see behind me there's a bunch of restaurants. It's Friday afternoon right now, so it's not as popular as it usually is, but on the weekends it's absolutely packed. And if you could just imagine, none of this existed. None of the condos that you saw when we were walking along the trail were built up. None of these restaurants existed. So these are all businesses and commerce and activity that's been generated and made possible by the Beltline. So I hope you enjoyed that tour down the East Side Trail, the Beltline. It's one of my favorite spots in the city. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Okay, so hope you enjoyed that section of the Beltline. It's pretty amazing if you ask me. Now we're going to look at one unfinished section of the Beltline so you can get a sense of what state it's in now and what it's going to look like in the future. I'm going to take you and show you the unfinished section on the Southside Trail, which I'm really excited about because I actually live in this section of the city. I'm in Peoplestown, and you can see we're in the unfinished section, but it hasn't been paved yet, but we can walk up there and we'll get a sense for what you're going to be able to do. But we're going to show you the Beacon, which is an awesome area full of restaurants that is connected to the Beltline here that people can enjoy. And then you can see what you're going to be able to do is, I'm going to be able to walk outside my house in Peoplestown. I can walk down to this park and I can hop on the Beltline. I can head north and walk all the way up. I could bike up to Piedmont Park pretty easily if I wanted to, going north, once it's paved, of course. Or I'm going to be able to go west, and I'm going to be able to go through Pittsburgh and Capitol View. I'll be able to go through Capitol View Manor and Capitol View, and then I'll be able to, you can see it's not that far at all. I'll be able to get to Lee and White walking, biking extremely easily. So just for me personally living in a Beltline neighborhood, this is going to drastically open up the possibilities for me in terms of being able to enjoy this awesome city. What I have to do now and what most Atlantans do is hop in your car, and if I want to go enjoy Little Five Points, I'm going to go drive to Little Five Points, hang out, enjoy a restaurant or a bar. And if I want to go to another section of the city, I'm going to go drive to that section of the city. So now with the Beltline, my wife and I will be able to have a day where we can be outside and active. We can go enjoy the Lee and White development on the West Side Trail. We can go up north towards Piedmont Park and enjoy that. We can be outside, active, not in our cars, not in traffic. We can hop off at a ton of different points. And there's a lot of different places where we can enjoy a restaurant or a bar or some other amenity. So this is just a little bit of a personal anecdote about how the Beltline is impacting my life. And this is really happening for a lot of Atlantans who are living in these areas. All right, so right now I'm on the Southside Trail of the Beltline. There's not a whole lot to look at right now, but I wanted to give you a glimpse of one portion of the Beltline that hadn't been completed yet so you could get a sense for how the project is progressing. So you can see right now behind me, it's just gravel. And this is what I mentioned earlier in the video. Some of the sections are unpaved still. Funny enough, there's still people walking and biking down this stretch a little bit. But you can see this section that you're facing right now would be headed north towards Piedmont Park. You could literally take this all the way up, cross over Memorial, through Inman Park, and eventually reach Piedmont Park, which is really amazing to think you could walk or bike or scooter from South Atlanta essentially all the way up to Midtown. It's a really novel concept for us Atlantans here, but this is something the Beltline has made possible. I'm just going to turn the camera around to give you a sense of where we're at in relation to what I showed you on the map earlier. All right, so I've taken you down now to the Beacon, which is the area I was discussing up on the Southside Trail. So if you see behind me, there's those apartments that you saw from the side of the trail. The trail's right up behind me, and eventually you'll be able to walk down here and come into the Beacon development, which is a really cool development that just popped up in the Peoplestown neighborhood in the last year or two. And there's a couple breweries here, a few restaurants, you know, a bowling alley, so a lot of really nice amenities that people in this community could walk to. Without the Beltline running through this neighborhood, I doubt that this Beacon project would be as large or be developed as quickly as it would have if the Beltline was not in process of being developed on the south side. So it's really exciting, and as someone who lives in this area, it's great to see all this new development pop up. All right, so that was the Atlanta Beltline. I hope you enjoyed that personal tour and explanation of the project. Again, my name is Marc Brenner. I'm a local realtor here, and I would love to help you if you need help relocating here from out of town, or if you're a real estate investor looking to do some out-of-state investing in the Atlanta area. All my contact information is below. I would love if you reached out. Hope you liked that video. Please hit like, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.